I live in a densely populated suburban homeowner association-run community. I have like 40 houses within a 5-minute walk from mine. There is one large Facebook group for the entire community with around 4,000 members, and a smaller one for my part with about 180. They are both private and require proof of residence for admission. I only mention this because it is relevant to the situation. For like a year now, there have been a group of kids using my property as their personal hangout since I am at a corner spot of 3 roads with a large area of grass and steps. While those bits are the homeowner association's property, everyone signs an agreement with the homeowner association to maintain their adjoined common area. If it was just the hangouts, I would be fine. Kids are kids and all that. However, they dump their trash, leave their toys, turn over paving stones, damage plants to the point of needing replacement, all on both my lawn and the homeowner association's lawn I am responsible for. I have not said anything to anyone about it because of the nasty attitudes towards complaints I see in those Facebook groups, and I do not vibe with my neighbors here enough to know most of them. Whole other story. I reached a snapping point though when 2 of the younger kids I sort of recognized from this group smashed a glass ornament on my front porch, then ding-dong ditched. I could care less about the latter, but that glass ornament was something sentimental I'd saved from my mother's house. I tried to run out and talk to them, but they ran for the woods, so I didn't see what house they belonged to, and I don't personally know their parents. I posted a photo of them from my doorbell cam to the smaller of the Facebook groups, with their faces partially blurred. All I said was that I didn't expect a reply, but this has been going on for a while, and could whoever please talk to these kids and maybe inform the parents of the other kids who these 2 hang out with? 30 seconds later, in rapid succession, I got a reply, a direct message, and a knock at my door. The mother of the boys yelled at me for having posted their photo to the entire internet and went on for about 10 minutes straight without letting me get a word in edgewise. I took down the photo as asked, but I never got a chance to explain the rest of what I was hoping to achieve. She said something about how if I wanted recourse, then I needed to be a neighbor and magically know who to talk to, I guess. Also, she weirdly kept pushing offers to pay for what they broke, which was pointless, and I refused money. Of what I did manage to say to her, I told her that I understood her privacy concerns, but that's why I blurred their faces and kept it to that smaller group. But she still claimed it was public to the whole internet. It's not. The other was mentioning that her own Facebook profile was public with photos and names of her kids, seen from her direct message. She now thinks I am stalking her, that I am claiming the homeowner association area as mine. I wasn't, and weirdly still hasn't changed her profile privacy. Am I the a-hole here? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. I thought it was a post about public photos of children on Facebook, but you literally blurred the area of their faces. That crazy mother is angry because now everyone knows that her children cause harm and are unsupervised. Maybe if she cared more about educating her children instead of harassing her neighbors, she wouldn't have photos of her children on Facebook. Comment 2, you didn't do anything wrong. In fact, I would not have blurred their faces and would have posted their vandalism video for all to see. She can't expect privacy when the kids are doing all of their misbehavior in public anyway. The mother is a piece of work. Tell her the cops are your next phone call. Not the idiot now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my previous post. A lot has happened in the last 3 days, and I feel like I need to share an update with you all. After the incident with the broken ornament and the confrontation with the mother, I decided to take a different approach. I thought that maybe if I could connect with the kids and show them that I'm not just some grumpy neighbor, they might be more respectful of my property. So I bought a bunch of popsicles and waited for them to show up again. When they did, I went outside and offered them the treats. At first they were hesitant, but eventually they came over and took the popsicles. We started talking, and I learned a bit about them. They seemed like good kids, just a little misguided. I told them that I didn't mind them hanging out on the lawn, but I asked them to please be more mindful of the property and to clean up after themselves. They agreed, and for a couple of days things seemed to be going well. The kids were still hanging out, but they were being more respectful. They even started bringing their own trash bags to clean up. I thought I had made a breakthrough, but then yesterday I came home from work to find my front window smashed. There was a rock on the floor inside, and it looked like someone had intentionally thrown it. I was shocked and angry. I checked my doorbell cam, but whoever did it was out of frame. I posted about the incident on the smaller Facebook group, asking if anyone had any information. The mother of the boys immediately commented, accusing me of targeting her kids again. She claimed that they had been with her all day and couldn't have done it. Other neighbors started chiming in, some defending me, others taking the mother's side. The thread quickly devolved into a heated argument, with people making accusations and insulting each other. I tried to calm things down, but it was no use. As I sat there reading the comments, I started to question myself. Had I made a mistake by trying to connect with the kids? Was I really just targeting them unfairly? I thought back to my own childhood and how I had sometimes felt misunderstood by adults. I wondered if I was doing the same thing to these kids, but then I remembered the broken ornament and how much it had meant to me. I thought about all the damage that had been done to my property over the past year and how frustrating it had been to feel like I couldn't do anything about it. I knew that I hadn't done anything wrong by trying to address the issue. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had made things worse by posting on the Facebook group. The community was divided, and I felt like I was at the center of it all. I started to wonder if I should just sell my house and move somewhere else, somewhere where I wouldn't have to deal with all this drama. But then I remembered why I had bought this house in the first place. I loved the neighborhood, and I loved my home. I didn't want to let a few bad experiences ruin that for me. So I decided to take a step back from the Facebook group and focus on my own life. I installed some security cameras around my property, just in case. And I started looking for other ways to get involved in the community, like volunteering at the local school or joining a neighborhood watch program. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I'm not going to let this situation define me. I'm going to keep trying to be a good neighbor, even if it's not always easy. And I'm going to keep looking for ways to make my community a better place, one small act at a time. Anyway, that's where things stand now. Thanks for listening and for all your support. It really means a lot to me. My half-siblings demanded I ditch my foster brother, so I cut them out of my life and didn't invite them to my epic 21st birthday bash. So I, 20-year-old male, will be turning 21 in a couple of weeks. I was raised in foster care. In my first foster home, I was placed in the same home as my brother, not biologically related. The two of us bonded in our 5 years with that foster family, and when they were no longer willing or able to care for us, it was decided we could not be separated because of how much we longed for the other when it looked like we would be. This made it harder for us to be placed, but we stayed together for the rest of our time in foster care. Sometimes foster families would attempt to send one of us back, but the other always insisted they would leave too. All we had was each other, and we were determined to keep each other. He's my brother, even if legally and biologically he's not. 6-ish months ago, I got some direct messages through social media from two half-siblings who had also grown up in the system. They met when my half-sister learned she had two half-brothers, and he was easier to find as a minor, so she asked for a chance to see him. I was harder to find, but eventually they both found me, and they were all excited, and I was both surprised and a little curious about them. I was never told about half-siblings. We share the same mom, who did not keep any of us for any real time after our births. It was exciting to talk to them at first, but as soon as I mentioned my brother, their tones changed, and everything I read from them sounded so jealous and possessive. It escalated when my half-sister asked me to stop referring to my brother as my brother. She said they were my real siblings now, and they did not want him to be part of the family they wanted the three of us to build. I told them I wasn't going to discard my brother, and he was always going to be part of my family. So if they refused to accept him, then they didn't want me either. They told me I should be glad I have them now, and I said they were strangers. He was family, and if they wanted a relationship of any kind with me, they needed to accept my relationship with him. They refused, but continued to reach out and continued to try and form a relationship with me. They ended up cyber-stalking my brother's social media and found out about my party through his public account, and they asked me why he knew and was invited but not them. I said they had made it clear we were having no relationship, so they wouldn't be invited. They told me they had never said that and they wanted to come. I said they were not welcome. My half-sister said it was a shitty thing to reject my family for someone not related. I told them their attitude is exactly why I wouldn't let them come. They called me all sorts of names in retaliation. My brother and I changed the venue for my party, so no worries about them crashing. But am I the jerk for not letting them come? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Given all the interactions you had, if you did allow them to come, it sounds likely that they would be rude to your brother. It's a shame that they wanted to reconnect with you in such an exclusive way. The blood relations shouldn't matter. If the person is important to you, that's all that should matter. Furthermore, what would they have said about a half-sibling you had through your biological dad? Or if you were now married, are they going to exclude your spouse? Comment 2. Not the idiot. You are biologically related to these people, but they are not family. You do not wish to have any sort of relationship or contact with these people, which is fine. Ask your brother to lock his accounts down so strangers can't see them. Then block the individuals with whom you share genetic material and get on with your life. Happy 21st. Hugs and good luck. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my last post and for all your support. It's been a chaotic week since I last updated you all. So I decided to take a risk and reach out to my half-siblings again. I thought maybe if we could just sit down and talk face to face, they'd understand how important my brother is to me. I sent them a message inviting them to meet up at a local coffee shop. To my surprise, they agreed. The day of the meeting, I was a nervous wreck. My brother offered to come with me, but I told him I needed to do this on my own. When I got to the coffee shop, my half-sister and half-brother were already there. The tension was evident as I sat down. We started off with some small talk, but it didn't take long for the conversation to turn to my brother. They insisted that I needed to cut ties with him and focus on building a relationship with them. I tried to explain that my brother and I had been through so much together and that I couldn't just abandon him, but they wouldn't listen. As the conversation got more heated, I started to realize that this meeting was a mistake. My half-siblings weren't interested in understanding my perspective. They just wanted to control me. I tried to end the meeting on a positive note, but as I got up to leave, my half-sister grabbed my arm and told me that if I didn't choose them over my brother, I'd regret it. I left the coffee shop feeling shaken and confused. I knew I had to tell my brother what happened, but I was worried about how he'd react. When I got home, I found him waiting for me. I broke down and told him everything. To my surprise, he wasn't angry. He just hugged me and told me that he understood how much I wanted a relationship with my biological family. He said that he'd support me no matter what I decided, but that he hoped I wouldn't let them come between us. Over the next few days, I did a lot of soul-searching. I thought back to all the times my brother had been there for me, even when no one else was. I remembered how we'd promised to always have each other's backs no matter what. In the end, I realized that my half-siblings were never going to accept my brother, and that was a deal-breaker for me. I sent them a message telling them that I appreciated their interest in getting to know me, but that my brother was non-negotiable. If they couldn't accept him, then they couldn't be a part of my life. I haven't heard from them since, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I know I made the right choice. My brother and I have been through too much together to let anyone come between us. But the whole experience has left me feeling a little raw. It's brought up a lot of old wounds from our time in foster care. I've been having nightmares about being separated from my brother again, and I know he's been struggling too. We've been trying to support each other as best we can, but it's not easy. Sometimes I wonder if we'll ever fully heal from the trauma of our past, but then I remember how far we've come and how much we've overcome together, and I know we'll get through this too. Anyway, that's the latest from my end. Thanks again for all your support and advice. It means more than you know. My friends took advantage of me being the designated driver. So when one crossed the line, I left her stranded at the party and showed her, I'm not to be messed with. I, 23-year-old male, am only one of 2 people in my circle of friends who drives, which means any event or get-together requires me to pick up people and drop them off at home. I don't mind doing it, but my one gripe is that for occasions like parties, it's a huge pain trying to corral all the passengers when I'm leaving. It sometimes takes 30 minutes of me repeatedly telling my friends I have to leave before they start taking me seriously and start making their way to the car. It drives me nuts because it makes me feel like I'm being taken for granted, and that my time isn't important enough to be considered. This past Friday, I went to a house party downtown. All of my friends and I live uptown. I picked up 3 friends. My other friend who drives picked some people up, and the rest made their way on their own. After I picked up the last friend, and as we were on our way, I told them all that I was putting my foot down starting that night. I was leaving the party at 1. I'd give them all a 10-minute heads up, and whoever wasn't in the car by 1 on the dot would be left behind. I had to work the next day at 7, and after dropping everyone off, I wouldn't be home until 2. So I already knew I wasn't going to get much sleep, but what little sleep I could get, I wanted to maximize. They all agreed to my one condition. When we arrived, one of my friends, I'll call her Jane, who had made her way to the party on her own, came up to me and asked if I could drive her home too. I wasn't thrilled since it meant I'd get home even later, and she sprung it on me at the last minute. But I still had room for one more, and Jane and I get along pretty well. So I said okay, but made sure I told her the same thing I told my other friends. I'm leaving at 1 with or without you. She said okay. At 12:50, I started telling my passengers that it was almost time. My plan was going pretty well. Everyone was getting their coats, saying their goodbyes, and making their way to the door. Everyone except Jane. As I was putting on my shoes, I could see her still chatting with someone, drink in hand. So I walked up to her and quietly reminded her, "You have 2 minutes, then I'm leaving." She gave me an annoyed look and said, "Okay, relax," and turned back to the conversation. I left and walked to the car with everyone else. When it turned 1, I still gave her an extra minute. As much of a hard ass as I was being, I still didn't want to leave anyone behind, so I figured I'd give her an extra minute of grace time. Even when I started driving, I checked the rear view to see if she'd suddenly pop out. I still would have stopped at that point, but nothing. 5 minutes later, Jane called me, asking me where I parked. This was on speakerphone since I was driving. I gave her the news and she proceeded to chew me out for the entire car to hear, calling me an AH among other things. I'm not proud of the fact that I ditched someone, but I'm also tired of being taken for granted, and I gave her enough warning. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. I was the first person in my friend group with a job and a car. It sucked. I eventually just stopped going to parties and stuff because I was tired of picking 3 people up from 3 different places and dropping them back off after working or going to school all day. Jane and I get along pretty well, so I said okay. Well, she ruined that friendship. No more rides for entitled Jane. Comment 2, not the idiot. She literally told you she needed a ride with late notice and then is mad when you're leaving at the time you decided even before she asked? It doesn't make sense. She also should have planned out how she's getting home if she didn't know beforehand. It's good to put yourself first, and the fact that you told her you have to wake up early and she still didn't agree to your plan is disrespectful to you. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my previous post. It's been a wild 2 weeks since I left Jane at that party, and I've got some updates for you all. First off, the fallout from that night was pretty intense. Jane was absolutely furious with me, and she made sure everyone in our friend group knew it. She told them I was a selfish jerk who didn't care about anyone but myself. It was tough to hear, especially since I thought we were pretty close friends. But here's the thing. A few days later, I found out something that changed everything. Turns out Jane had been talking smack about me behind my back for months. She'd been telling people I was unreliable, that I always flaked on plans, and that I was just using my friends for rides. It was a total shock to me, and it made me question everything about our friendship. I confronted her about it, and she didn't even try to deny it. She said she was just venting to our mutual friends, but I couldn't believe she'd been so two-faced. It really hurt, especially since I'd always gone out of my way to help her out. But that's not even the worst part. A few nights ago, I was hanging out with some of my other friends, and they let slip that Jane had been planning to ditch me at the party all along. She'd apparently told them she was going to find another ride home, but she wanted to make me wait around for her first, just to mess with me. I couldn't believe it. It's been a tough couple of weeks trying to navigate all this drama. I've had to do a lot of soul searching, trying to figure out who my real friends are. It's made me realize that I need to be more selective about who I let into my life and who I go out of my way for. But there's one more thing I haven't told anyone yet. The real reason I was so adamant about leaving that party at 1 a.m. It's because I've been struggling with some pretty serious anxiety lately. I've been having panic attacks, and the thought of being out late and not getting enough sleep just sends me into a spiral. I haven't told any of my friends about it because I don't want them to think I'm weak or can't handle my own problems. But the truth is, I've been dealing with this for a while now, and it's been affecting every aspect of my life. So that's where I'm at now, trying to figure out who my real friends are, while also dealing with my own mental health issues. It's been a lot to handle, but I'm taking it one day at a time. Anyway, thanks for listening to me vent. It's been helpful to get all this off my chest. I'll keep you all updated on how things go from here. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!